Okay, are you ready for this? Look at this. Just begin to swipe it upwards. So you can store this away and use it whenever you want without having to mix up colours every time you want to use them. Cut this into strips the right size and put this into like a bangle mould. Well, we are back with another resin art video. Excuse my croaky voice, it may improve throughout the video. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so is Mrs. Cooper, bless her. It's going around the household, so bear with me, guys. So many of you tuned in and saw my recent video creating resin paper. It's not new, but I think what I'm about to show you is new, and it's absolutely mind-blowing what we can do with this stuff. So I've had a little play, and I have been reading your comments and suggestions in that previous video, and there are some really good ideas, so I will be touching on some of those soon. But let me show you something I've come across with this that is absolutely crazy. So all I'm going to do, I've got some Let's Resin UV resin here. I'm going to put a small amount in each of these 4 small mixing cups. Now to each of these I'm going to mix in a different colour. I'm using my nail powders. This is the fun thing. Lots of different ingredients are going to work with this technique, especially powders, interference powders, mica powders, you name it. It's really going to work extremely well, and you can actually intensify the color. You can add quite a bit to this because the sheets are very thin. The UV resin really does cure really well with this. Have I said really well too many times? I don't know, I don't care. It's too exciting, and I'm going to run through this has serious potential. I'm just using my scissors. I can't find my scoop. So I'm just adding, I want these colours to be really intense. So I'm adding quite a bit. So I'm going to go with different colours in each pot. This one is a purple. This one is a blue. I'm starting to come to the end of my nail powders as well. Not all of them, but my favourite colours. I've had these for around over 2 years. That's how long they last. I haven't tried this before. I'm going in with a gold for my last colour. Should be interesting. Then I'm just going to thoroughly mix them in. Make sure there's no bits, no little lumps. There we have them. I mean, they look yucky at the moment, but trust me, once we do the paper technique, these are really going to come to life. So out comes my greaseproof paper. Many of you in the comments said this is just called parchment paper. Some of you have said wax paper. I don't know. I'm sure many of you know what it is. We just call it different things. So all I'm going to do is just make a mess now, and just drizzle my colours all over my paper. It really, you can't go wrong, guys. You really can't go wrong with this. But when I say this has potential, I mean this has got serious potential. I'll scrape out as much of it as I can. I didn't really mix much resin because you don't really need it. It's all going to be spread out. Over the purple, the blue. I can feel my voice is going to go. There may not be a video Sunday, guys. And last of all, oh, it's going deeper. I only pause for a moment. I'm just going in with my gold. I don't want to go too much with the gold. I think that will do. I can save the rest for another project. Okay, so now what you can do if you want is you can use a silicone tip tool and just do that. We'll swipe in some different designs. Then we can close our paper. And just begin to push it down with your finger, just to close any gaps. And then we can get our swiping tool credit card, whatever you've got. Just begin to swipe it upwards. This will give it like a grain look. And just spread it evenly. Go down if you want. And then I'm going to give that a minute on both sides under my big lamp. Okay, are you ready for this? Wait until this hits the light. We can now peel away, and the paper, we can use this over and over again. Look at this. Oh, that gold has really come out well. I'm thinking wood grain effects, and I did this one yesterday with neon powders from Let's Resin, and it made me think of camo. We could create so many different effects that we can't usually do as like a backing on a cabochon. And the good thing is we can cut these, we can use them in different style molds as well, like upright molds, in different ways that you couldn't normally use them. A viewer, I can't remember now who it was, but they're probably watching this, recommended like a bangle mold. You could easily cut this into strips the right size and put this into like a bangle mold. I think the viewer recommended like folding it and putting it in a bangle mold, but I'm thinking, yeah, wood grain effects would be insane. But I mean, look at this. This is one I did yesterday with the nail powders, but I left out the gold. So I think the gold really does bring that out. You've got some areas with some holes, but that could be useful for something else if you have a backing color coming through. They look like little asteroids or something. Yeah, so you can store this away and use it whenever you want without having to mix up colors every time you want to use them. It's really genius, and it's flexible. Now, one thing, depending on the thickness that you do it, the more you spread over with your tool, your spreading tool or credit card, whatever, the thinner it will get, and the more flexibility it will have. So this sheet here is really thin, so I can bend that with ease. But when they start getting a little bit thicker, I've done this one quite thick, they can snap. So just bear that in mind. But for what I'm going to show you a way to prevent it from snapping when you're doing your pieces, because some of you may be thinking, you know, you could pop a cabochon on there, trace around it, and then cut it out. You can, if the thickness is correct, without the worry of it kind of shattering as you're cutting it. But another tip as well is that if you warm this with a heat gun carefully, it gets a lot of flexibility, so it's less prone to shattering. But I'm going to do something. I'm going to show you the technique that I've done a lot in the past with transferring onto a cabochon. We're going to use that technique to get this into a nice necklace. So I'm just going to fill this oval cavity if I can. I'm running low on this bottle of UV resin. I'd get through so much, guys, as you can imagine, but this has to be completely flat. I've said this before on the channel, completely flat with the mold. That's what I mean by flat, you know, flush with the mold. You don't want any curvature. It needs to be perfectly flat. Once our cabochon is cured, we can then pop that out. We'll take our paper. You can take your cabochon and kind of place it in the areas that you want to kind of see, get a rough idea of how it's going to look before you commit. But it makes sense to kind of stick to the outer areas so that you're not cutting so much off. But again, with all the offcuts, just keep them for other projects. And if you turn it over, it's going to be pretty much the same, but it can be slightly different in certain areas. Once you've made up your mind, you can just apply a small amount of UV resin to the paper, take your cabochon, place it on, and then cure it. You can see it's not quite spreading down, so I can push that down give it a little bit. I might have to lift it up. We'll see. I'm going to apply some pressure and try and get that last air bubble out. Hopefully when I release the pressure, it won't draw it back in. And then I can pop it under the beast for, again, I'm going to cure it on both sides just to make sure. A minute on the front and then maybe 30 seconds on the back. So there it is, all bonded. So this is, I think, the best way, because like I said, when I cut this out now, I'm not at risk of it shattering because it's bonded to that cabochon. So I can then just take my scissors and just go round and cut the whole piece out. And you'll see where I've cut that out, it's kind of misshaped the film. But again, just using a heat gun will basically revert that back to being completely flat. It kind of resets the paper. So there it is, as it is at the moment. Now we can decide on how to back it. Now the good thing as well is about having this in a paper form. What we could do is drop different colors on and then turn it over and drop a clear on the front to kind of give us a rough idea of what the backing color is going to look like when it's finished. You can use this for testing ideas. But as always, massive shout out to my channel members, anyone who's bought me a coffee or a super thanks, and to all my subscribers. It is free, hit that button for me. But most of you know me by now. I'm just going to go in with a black background. And this is just black mica powder mixed in with my UV resin. What you could also do, if you've say got a small offcut like this, you could just do freeform stuff. So you could just apply a drop bit of UV resin over the paper. I'm just going to use my handheld torch, give that a cure. I could then cut that out, same as we did with the cabochon. Back it and cure it. Right, it's not perfectly round, but you could just make different sizes, link them all up and make sort, you know, dangle earrings or something like that. It's just something you can do with the offcuts. Also hardware like this, really quick and easy to just cut the paper out, pop it in, and then top it with your resin. Right, we're all done for this video. Let me know what you want to try with this in the comments. But again, I can just pop those away and use them whenever I want. I love that one. And this under the UV light really does show up. I'm not sure if that's showing up on camera very well. So I've got a few pieces too that I made yesterday. This was with the neon. It's really, really nice. Just loving the simplicity. It's really, really easy to do. This was the film paper that I made without the gold. Really quick and easy. I love the effects. And this one I gave a dip. I dipped this one. And this is the one that we have just made. As always, give the video a thumbs up, drop me a comment. If you haven't subbed, it is free. Again, hit that button for me. See, it's got some kind of texture. Oh, I don't know. Yeah, the film had some texture because when I was scraping it, I didn't go over it enough, so it left a kind of unevenness to it. But I like it. I really like it, and that gold really does work well. So I'm wondering now, what if we were to drizzle black in with it? It will give like gaps, areas of gaps. Could be interesting, like cracks. But I think I need to try the camo. I need to try the bangle idea. And 100% I need to give like a wood grain effect. I need to give that a try. Anyway, hopefully I'll be okay for Sunday. If not, I'll see you next week. Bye for now.